Here we go. Ah, it's that time. Oh, yeah. Loving it. It's Ask a Traffic Cop time. Yes. Here we go. Hitting buttons, making it happen. Yep. Got to clickety-clack that button there. Fantastic. What is going on, my friends? Hope you're doing well. I know I'm having a good day. It's Friday. It's a Friday. It's Friday. I am excited to be here chatting with you. We're chatting about stuff and things. And that's what I do every single day. It's stuff and things time. I am talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, which I like to call stuff and things. And if you've got questions, I generally have answers. So ask away. Whatever you want to talk about, whether it's about the Ontario Traffic Act, the Highway Traffic Act, if we're talking about general traffic safety and things you should do or avoid, and we can talk about that too. And of course, if you want to become a police officer, let me know because I'd love to point you in the right direction. Now, you may be noticing that this looks a little different. Why? Because I am going vertical today. We're trying things that are new for me because it started this way and then it went widescreen. And I did that for a number of years. And now I'm experimenting with vertical again. So let me know what your thoughts are. Is this the right way to view this channel? Or should it be widescreen? Because that's what I normally do. Yeah, I want to know. Also, is 10 o'clock the best time for you? It is always a bone of contention. What is the most appropriate time to go live? Because obviously, if you're not here, if it's not a good time for you, then we need to change things. I already go live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m., but I go live at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, trying to give everybody a shot at getting onto the show and asking their questions. But, it's different for everybody. Maybe it's 4 o'clock. Maybe summertime will change it. You let me know. Bush Outdoors Canada, if you need to get a wonderful watch from Marathon, Bush Outdoors Canada, talk to Sean Bush. He's the guy to talk to about getting a watch. Just saying. He popped into the live stream, so I got to shut him out. And then you've got JR and Singh. There's a Jaspreet Singh, but you put it backwards because you couldn't get your username the other way. Either way, welcome. Oh, I just realized I should really put the TikTok chat on screen. Not for you, but for me. Stand by as I look it up. I need to press a button. Where'd it go? Here we go. TikTok live monitor coming online now. Here we go. It is Friday, and I couldn't be happier because that means I don't have to wake up early tomorrow. I still have to wake up and do stuff, but I don't have to wake up early. Brandon says, good morning, Sean and all. Not liking the snow, missing Florida. Florida. I miss Florida too. I haven't been there in a year. Yeah, this is not the time to switch to your summer tires, I got to say. If you are thinking about making the switch, hold off. Wait till it's 7 degrees for a while, like a week, consistently 7+. Because if it's not, you get stuff like this. Now, I was going to put a video. I actually recorded the video while I was walking back from dropping the kids at school. And the deal is that I made a video on April 2nd saying, this is not a joke. That was supposed to be yesterday because it snowed on April 2nd. And I'm like, what the heck? And then it sort of got nicer. So I didn't post it. I lost the window of opportunity. And here we are on the 11th of April and it's freaking snowing. And I'm not impressed. I'm not. It's just what it is. I'm not impressed. Nicholas Rizzi, what's going on with you? What is he saying? He wants to know if there's a movie that didn't make me cry before, but after you became a dad, that movie makes you ugly cry every damn time. For me, it's the movie John Q. I don't know the movie John Q. Do you know the movie John Q? I can't comment about that because I don't know the movie John Q. In any case, I'll have to now watch the movie John Q, but not until I'm finished absolutely watching every episode of The Pit. The Pit is about an emergency room in Pittsburgh. I'm on episode 4 now. What an amazing, amazing show. Like, it's 24, but medical, and I am absolutely hooked. I can't stop it. That's what my nights I was up way too late last night because I had to watch 2 episodes. Just saying. It's awesome. Awesome. Weird stuff going on with TikTok. Oh, James Craig joined. How's it going? I was going to say I haven't seen any action in the TikTok chat, and that's because no one's commented. Let me just make sure everything's working because sometimes things do weird things. Oh, you press election. I don't know why he keeps on talking about elections. Hey, yeah, let's test it. Does it work? It's working. I made a comment. I've got a couple of videos lined up for you. I also want to talk about winning $100,000, because obviously winning $100,000 would be awesome. What would you do with $100,000? I have a bunch of things I could do. So if you'd like to win $100,000, you should probably download an app that gives you the opportunity to. And it doesn't do it by making you play video games. It doesn't do it by making you do jumping jacks or running around doing silly things. It actually wants you to be safer. Yeah, Safe Roads. Let's go back it up. It's the Great Canadian Driving Games, and it's hosted by TURF, the Traffic Injury Research Foundation. And you basically put an app on your phone, it tracks your movement, and by being a safe driver, you get entries into a draw for $100,000. So I'm playing. Are you going to get a higher score than me? I don't know, but I'm interested to find out. I got to talk to them and see if they've got a link for me because I'm starting a team. Yes. Let's see here. What does James want to say? James says, would you know what the average starting for a cadet fresh out of the academy? What is the salary? So if you go to the Toronto Police website, and if we're talking about Canada, because it depends, you say cadet, you have to be hired by a police service prior to going to the Ontario Police College. That's how it works here. And if you go to, I'm going to it right now to pull it up, you go to tps.ca/careers, then scroll down up until the magical point where it says salary and benefits. So while you are a cadet in training, so the point of hire, start your first day at the police college. We have the Toronto Police College, and then you go to the Ontario Police College. You start at $68,864. That is while you're being trained, you're getting paid. I don't know anybody who does that better. And when I went to school, I had to agree to pay it was close to $8,000. It's up to $15,000 now to go to school. That is now being absorbed by the Ontario government. So if you want to effectively get a $15,000 signing bonus, now's the time to become a cop in Ontario because you get paid and you don't have to pay anything back. I paid like a couple $100 a paycheck until it was all paid back. But I had to pay it out of pocket, whereas somebody else joining now doesn't. It's a huge thing. Anyway, once you graduate, $76,533 for effectively your first year while you're a fourth-class constable, and then you get to go to third-class constable, which pays $87,476. Roughly the year after, you're going to go to $98,409, and then first-class constable, which is essentially when you're at the top rung, $109,338 a year. That is your base pay, not including overtime and paid duties when you're working on your time off. And then, of course, once you stay for a period of time, you get retention pay and all sorts of other benefits, like pension, vacation, other stuff. This is just your base pay. Not too shabby. I'll leave that screen there just in case there's other questions that arise. Okay. Trav wants to know how long you have to pay a ticket in Ontario. In BC, you have a full year to pay. You do not have a full year to pay here. So you have two options. You can or three options. You can choose to pay it within 15 days. You can choose to challenge it in court. If you challenge it in court, you are going to be given a court date, and that could be a year away. At which point, maybe that's what you're thinking of for BC, or maybe it's different. But when you have a court date that's a year away, and then you go plead guilty in court, you've given yourself a year to pay, and it does take often in Toronto a year to get to court. So maybe that's part of your plan. Give yourself some time. The average ticket's about $110. So if you need a year to pay that, just saying. The other option that you can have, aside from choosing to go to trial, is have a first appearance with a prosecutor. And that allows you to have a discussion about what the case looks like and what they might offer you if you were to plead guilty. So it gives you a negotiating date that doesn't make you go to trial, and it doesn't make you take the deal. You can choose to go to trial after having that first appearance. Yeah. So those are the options. They're the options. That's Jeff says, can you get a red light ticket if you pass the white line on a red making a left turn? Sure you can. If you're crossing the white line once it's a red, that's how you run a red light. Obviously, it depends on how each individual intersection is configured. Some may not have coverage in that lane. Others might. People say, well, it doesn't work on the left. It only works on the right. It doesn't work on all rights either. Here's the deal. You shouldn't enter the intersection on a red. And if you're making a right turn on red, which is lawful, you have to come to a complete stop prior to entering the intersection, or you might get a ticket. I heard a story where a guy got like 4 or 5 tickets in a row because he was going around the block waiting for somebody, but he ran the red light every time he made a right turn. Yeah. Or actually, that doesn't include the ones that were green. So he may have done many laps. In any case, Jeff says, I was behind a garbage truck and I only noticed it was right as soon as I passed the white line. Is it possible? It's possible. Is it likely? If you were stopped and you were going, were you stopped at the time and then accelerated through? was behind. She just drove right behind a garbage truck. Listen, it happens. Could you get a ticket for it? It's possible. Yeah. But you'll know when it comes in the mail or it does not. That will be the notice. Are you Canadian? I am in fact Canadian. I would too. I'm trying to decode your username, but I cannot. So I will move on. But I am Canadian. I am in the GTA, the Toronto area. I'm a former police officer that worked at the Toronto Police Service. James says, my dream was to join York Regional Police or OPP, but I'm somewhat colorblind. I see color, but depending on the shade. That is a problem, but there are options. You can become a special constable. I don't believe that color acuity is a requirement for special constables. At least it wasn't when I was a court officer. So I started in 2000 as an auxiliary officer. I had so much fun that in May of the same year, I became a special constable, which was now it's called a special constable. Then it was the rank of court officer. We were responsible for court security and prisoner transportation and housing when people were attending court. So that was something that did not require color acuity. So you could be colorblind and still join that job. I would absolutely pursue, if policing is not an option as a police officer, know that there's other ways to serve and check it out. Don't give up. I mean, you have to set realistic goals based on whether or not meet requirements, but don't give up on the whole profession. There's other options where you're still making an impact. James says, I may get purple and blue, green, brown mixed up. I got you. It's a problem for policing, but get a test. Find out where you are if you pass or not. But I believe the standard says normal color acuity. That sounds abnormal. Queen says, I haven't heard anything from a possession charge, 16 years old now. I'm sorry. Oh, a 16-year-old. What? I haven't heard anything from a possession charge, 16 years old. Now I'm 21. What am I to do? You haven't heard anything? Did you get charged? Did you get convicted? Was it thrown out? Go talk to a police officer or go to a courthouse and find out what your status is. They can run you. It's not a problem to run you as you. You just have to prove your identity, and they will likely help you out to find out what's going on. Follow up with the case. But if you don't know about it, you probably have not been convicted because you or your parents would have been notified. Jay Bourbon says, let's say you receive a noise ticket and you don't pay it. Can you get your license suspended? Is it a noise ticket on your driver's license whilst you are driving? Yeah, if you get a ticket, it's an HTA offense if it's the one related to your car. And then if you don't pay it, you will be suspended. That's how that works. Now, you'll likely be notified, but if your mailing address wasn't updated, you are probably already suspended because simply not responding will create a situation where you owe money, and when you fail to pay it, they notify you. And if you are notified by mail and just don't check your mail or don't live at that address, you're going to be suspended. I'd go checking that. Go to the MTO, find out what the status of your license is. Kind of important to do. Also, pay your bills, pay your tickets. Let's see here what we got. Jeff says, we all had the green advance making left, and we were all still in motion going through no stops. Yeah, well, you'll find out in the mail. I can't say your name. Shgoyak? Maybe? Shgoyak? I can't say that. Or at least I said it, but I don't know if I said it right. If my insurance slips were lost in transit, but now had them emailed to me, is that all right for now? So the way the law reads is that you have to have your slip. A facsimile, not acceptable. The pink slip's your original. The police officer may accept it, and that's good. We're pretty good about that. But the pink slip's what you're supposed to be surrendering. The 30-day temporary one that you have is going to be accepted or should be. Now, you can also download their app if your company provides an electronic version, not a photo of it, but an electronic version through a secure app. That is acceptable under the HTA now. Hey, I've been babbling for a while, and I really haven't introduced myself. Hi, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, and you should be following this channel. Now, I focus on the Ontario Highway Traffic Act, but I talk about stuff from everywhere. And on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, I'm generally joined by a red-haired guy from Alberta. And if you want to know about Alberta law, you should be tuning in for Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. Yeah. Let's see here. Are there any tint exemptions in the GTA? There are no tint exemptions in the province of Ontario. It's not a Greater Toronto Area thing, which is what GTA stands for anyone who didn't know. We're talking about Ontario law, and throughout the province of Ontario, There are no exemptions. You can have nothing on your windshield. Unless your vehicle was manufactured before 2017, then you can have a 3-inch tint strip across the top, which is silly. No one should have anything. And then the windows left and right of the driver are regulated. You can have no more than 30% for certification purposes. It means you have to have 70% of visual light being transmitted through the window. If it's more than that, you can lose your plates. We can pull them for unsafe motor vehicle. If it is lighter than that, but still prohibits or prevents people from seeing inside, then you can get a ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle because you can't see inside the car. Yeah, $110 ticket for the obscure ticket. If you're getting unsafe motor vehicle, you're losing your license plates. You're being charged for the unsafe motor vehicle, and you're not driving, so you're going to get towed. Queen says, they gave me a charge. I went to fight it. Never heard back. My parents were never notified either. Yeah, you got to check with the courts. Danielle says, heard you toot. I don't know what you heard, but maybe you heard me tapping the table. There was no tooting going on. I would own up to it. I'm a big boy. I can tell you if I toot. Gustav says, if a police officer wants to switch into my lane, but I am in his blind spot, what should I do? Well, if you're riding in someone's blind spot, you're already making a mistake. You should not be hanging out in a blind spot. Now, they should also be doing shoulder checks and ensuring that it's safe to make lane changes. Ultimately, if a collision occurred and you were in your lane and they hit you because they didn't do a proper job, it would be their fault, as it would be with any driver. Is it going to be fun challenging the police officer who may or may not be happy about their situation? No, it probably won't be fun, but you're still the one who owns the lane if they're changing into your lane. Their responsibility to make the lane change safely. So get a dash camera because you're going to want evidence of everything that happens. Just saying. Dash cameras for the win. What else did I want to talk about today? I only briefly mentioned the $100,000. And if you weren't here earlier, I was talking about what would you do with $100,000 and would you like to win the $100,000? And if so, you should really consider going to trafficcop.ca. I don't think I actually plugged the website, but if you go to trafficcop.ca, you can download, there's a link to the Great Canadian Driving Games, and you install an app and it tracks your movements. It's private. No personal information is ever given to anybody. It's all anonymous. Obviously, the app has your name. That's how, if you win, you can get paid, but your driving data doesn't go to anybody. It's just going to the Traffic Injury Research Foundation, not your personal data, but your driving data. And that's to try and make the road safer by analyzing how things are done. So I think it's awesome. And you might win that $100,000. Oh, and there's prizes all the way along. I am trying to be the best driver in Canada. I'd like to have that crown at the end of the game. I've got high scores, but I'm not the highest. I think I'm like 50 in Ontario, and that's because I had my phone in a wobbly phone holder, and I don't know what happened, but it says I touched my phone. I think it's because I tried moving it to the cup holder, not while I was driving, but I tried doing a couple of drives with the cup holder, and I think it spun around or hit potholes. I think it moved because of that. So I lost some points there, but I'm working to get them back. Just saying. Yeah. If you think you can beat me, if you think you're a better driver, if you think you're a safer driver, you definitely need to get that app and see if you can win. And why, oh why, is there a warning about the federal election in Canada? Why? What in the heck did I say? What is a phone? Anyway, the AI decided to warn you about the election. Go out and vote. That I can tell you. Now I want to tell you, go out and vote. You have an obligation if you're old enough. You're obliged if you are old enough. Okay. Amanda Panda's back. What's going on? Jeff Goddard, what's happening? Hello. Okay. So going back to Gustav, he wants to know about that lane change, specifically if no lights or sirens. What's that got to do with? Yeah, they're still responsible for making safe moves. So nothing changes there. Jeff says, can you report an Uber driver of using their phone while driving? Will Uber do anything about it? Well, obviously you're going to, listen, I've never actually, no, that's not true. I've taken one Uber drive, and that's because it was a free $10 thing, and I was at a police memorial, and I figured, here's an opportunity to use my registration $10 coupon. And yeah, that's that with Uber and my experience. So can you complain? You can make them famous on social media. Absolutely. You can complain to the police. You can complain to Uber. What will they do about it? I don't know. But you certainly have all the information that you need to file a complaint with anyone and everyone. But I like the idea of making them famous on social media. If they're touching their phone while they're driving, they are putting you at risk as well as everybody else on the road, and they should know better. But they tend to do whatever the hell they want because people are addicted to their devices. But if they were playing the Great Canadian driving games and they had an app that tracked their phone usage, they'd probably want to be honest to get the high score, and then they probably wouldn't be touching their phones. Yeah, maybe, maybe they wouldn't play that. Uber drivers would be more now. They probably wouldn't. Anyway, have you always served in Ontario? That's a question from James Crate. I have always served in Ontario. I'm born and raised in Ontario, and I've always served here, although I lived outside of the country for a period of time. Logan's Run 2025 wants to know if I hate or love HOV lanes. I love them when I'm legally permitted to use them. I hate them when I can't because I'm jealous of the people in them. I am not a fan of the people who misuse them. That's a big deal. There are folks who jump in them and then either aren't qualified to use them because they only have one person and they don't have EVs with green plates, or they decide to use them as a passing lane or a speed zone. It is not a high speed lane. It is not intended for people to go faster than others. Just saying, it's not the same. So I dislike it when people misuse them. Leanne and Electric Crystal, welcome to the show. It's more like a chat now. Now that I'm not widescreen today, it feels weird. It feels super odd. Just saying. Okay, Hari says, hey, legally, how many vehicles can be at an intersection waiting for a left turn? I was waiting to turn left and another truck on oncoming traffic on left lane. The person behind me honked at me. Let me read that again. Legally, how many vehicles can be at an intersection waiting for a left turn? I was waiting to turn left and another truck on oncoming traffic on left lane. The person behind me honked at me. Oh, and they go on to say it turned amber and I couldn't see anything because of the truck. Impatient driver behind me showed me his middle finger. I was driving a sedan and he was in an SUV. Our views will be off. Well, here's the thing, Hari. You are responsible for driving your drive. But the dum-dum behind you who was honking at you and giving you the finger was an impatient, petulant child. Now, you have to do it safe. If you can't see, you have to make your own decision because they're not going to pay for the collision when you get honked at and then drive in and cause a collision. You're still going to be responsible. So let them have a bad day. They deserve it. And just drive your own drive. That is simple as that. If you're don't get bullied. Don't allow yourself to succumb to the bullying of others. They're just dum-dums. You are right. Can't see, you can't go. That's it. Now, how many can be in the intersection? You have an obligation to clear the intersection when safely, or to do it safely, but you have an obligation to clear. If you can't clear it, you're going to get a ticket for an offense. But the deal is that left turn is rarely an issue for clearing. It's the straight through that's a problem. So if you're at an intersection and there's nowhere to go, don't hang out in the intersection waiting for the other side of the traffic to go through. People do that because they're impatient and they want to ensure nobody else takes their spot. It's my spot. Just saying. But left turns is very, it's generally speaking, depending on the size of the intersection, one or two cars could be inside, across the left turn lane, line, and waiting to go. And as soon as it turns yellow and it's safe to proceed, you proceed. If it turns red, you can still proceed because you have to proceed. You have to get out. Honda Migs, what's going on? Welcome to the 10 a.m. show. By the way, for anyone who's watching who has not seen this face before, mind you, I do look different. I've been growing a beard since I left the Toronto Police, and I can't decide if I love it, if I like it, if I'm ready to change. I don't know. Every day is a design. But mind you, the jacket has a beard now. I made a new logo when I grew the beard, and now I think I have to stay with beard forever. I don't know. My kids like the beard. My wife likes the beard. I'm like, I'm experimenting. Okay. Let's see here. Were you ever called to jury duty in Toronto, or are police officers exempt to attend? Police are exempt. I mean, nobody in the jury wants a police officer in the jury, but you are exempt. Military, I believe, is exempt. There's a bunch of criteria on the form that says if you were one of these groups, you're exempt. But I've never actually been called. Family members have been. And I told them the same thing. I said, just make sure that when you go there for selection, you tell them, oh yeah, my cousin, my brother, my nephew, my whoever is a cop, and he tells me everything, and I that would make you look like you might be biased, and they may not want you. Mind you, the prosecution might want you. Okay. On to Mig says, hey Sean, good to see you. On, good to see you on, like on streaming. Yes, thank you. Good to be here, and good to see you too. Even though I don't see you, I just see you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. All right. Are bed stacks legal in Ontario on a pickup truck? I don't know. I've seen a lot of them on there. If they are if it's still muffling, if you still have a muffler as part of that process, having them on the bed, I don't know if it's a problem, honestly. There are issues that it has to be behind the passenger compartment, which it would be in a pickup truck, but I'm speculating. I've seen enough of them to suggest that it might be illegal, but I don't know. Logan's Run says they seem to be built in an unnecessary amount of thinking. What is this? They seem to be built in an unnecessary amount thinking Cambridge. I don't know what we're talking about. I know you said something earlier. I'm scrolling back to look at your previous comment. Logan's Run. Where can't I find your original comment? Remind me what we're talking about, Logan. You asked me something and now you're making a comment that's out of sequence for my brain. All right, I'll come back to you. Dude, are you, what is this? Dude's, Ball says, dude, are you in the trailer on Bathurst? Trailer on Bathurst? I don't know what you're talking about. Alan, thanks for the follow. James says, are there different incentives to serve OPP as opposed to municipal police? It's a different organization. It's different focuses. In Ontario, or at least in the GTA, the OPP are primarily highway rangers. Most communities have municipal policing. They do serve as municipal police responsibilities in areas that don't have municipal policing. Smaller services were absorbed by the OPP, and now it's sort of contract. They charge for whatever they do to the municipality, and yeah, that's the story. So is it better? I have a number of friends who went there. I have some friends who went there and came back to Toronto. It's a different pace. If you want to have a better quality of life with a lower cost of living, you probably want to live outside of the city. Toronto's a very expensive place to live and work, but there's nothing like Toronto. Toronto's the action place. OPP has great funding. They can do lots of stuff like different police. I've never worked for the OPP, so what I'm speaking from secondhand information primarily. 4 kids in a Porsche. Great name. Welcome to the live. What traffic laws would you change if you could? Get rid of it or add it? Or get rid of or add it? That's a great question. 4 kids in a Porsche. Porsche, my bad. I would make stricter enforcement laws. I would add more enforcement. I would add way more officers to enforce the existing laws. There's nothing that I think is unreasonable with the current laws. Like, we don't have really strict laws here. We have higher penalties, and we take very seriously the stunt driving, and that's more expensive than other provinces, especially Alberta. But I would like to see automated enforcement everywhere. I think that if you speed, you should be, well, caught and prosecuted, even if that means, I would also add demerit points for cameras. I would add demerits, like other jurisdictions, England, or I should say the UK and Australia, add demerit points for camera tickets. And I think that's important because people right now it's just money, right? I can't think of anything specific. Thinking of how would I frame it? Because there's lots of things that I get pissed off about that I wish there was a charge for and there isn't. And now that you've asked it, I have to think about this. Amanda Panda says, I sent the video of the incident on my street. Do you let people know when you'll be discussing content they've sent? Generally speaking, I'll make a video on its own, and I'll tag it. I'll tag you if you've left your like signed it off, so I know what your username is. I will try and tag you. Okay, let's go back. Oh, Logan was talking about love-hate HOV lanes. I see. Going back to that, it is. Thank you very much. They seem to be built in an unnecessary amount. Thinking in Cambridge, I can't relate to Cambridge. I really haven't spent time in Cambridge to reflect on what they look like there, the HOV lanes. Thank you, by the way, Jeff. I think it was Jeff who made that mention. The deal is that they serve a fantastic purpose when they are being utilized properly. Like when I'm traveling with family, or just like you almost want to hire someone to drive with you just so you can use that lane. It is so worthwhile. Or buy a Tesla just so you can have a green plate. Mind you, Cybertrucks do not qualify the green plate. They cannot be in that lane unless they have the qualifying number of people inside. It's a weight thing. The Lightning, it does qualify for it. I don't get it. Okay. What? Why are EVs allowed to drive in the HOV lane and not gas vehicles with one person in it? Sounds dumb to me. So, the whole purpose of those lanes are to promote environmental benefit. So, if you have 2 people in the vehicle, you can use that lane because you are promoting carpooling. Instead of having two cars on the road, you're having one car on the road. Thus, you get a little boost in traffic to get you where you're going faster, to incentivize you to do that. Buying an electric vehicle is said to be better for the planet. That's up for debate, depending on how you talk about the chemicals that are mined to make batteries and whether or not we have enough chemicals or minerals to actually continue to make those batteries for a long period of time. But that's another discussion. On its face, it's for electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, plug-in electrics, what's it called? Hydrogen-powered vehicles, all the ones that are said to be greener. It's to incentivize people to utilize those vehicles. And the reason that gas-powered cars or vehicles are not permitted in there unless they qualify, because you're not doing anything for the environment by driving a single person in a vehicle like that. You should sit in traffic and be punished according to the government. So just saying. But it makes total sense to me. And motorcycles are allowed to be solo on there because, again, it's a greener vehicle. And they're cool. What a great username. Smelly Boy's Mom. How do your kids feel about that? Let's see here. And Jeff, thank you for jumping in and talking about the EV riders or the EV vehicles. That is awesome. Let's see here. If you're watching and you don't already follow me, please do. Also, please tap the screen if you're on TikTok till your fingers go numb, because it really helps bring more people to the party. And more people to the party means that there are more comments and discussion points that we can discuss. And I've been ignoring the fine folks here in the comments. And Brandon says he would take the $100,000 and get a Mustang Dark Horse. I haven't seen this vehicle. I may have seen it in passing, but I've not really looked into it. And now I think I will have to. Let's see here. Anne-Marie says, Anne-Marie says, hey, I just found you on my For You page on TikTok, and it led me here. Going to start studying for my G1 with your handbook reading through videos. Thank you for sharing that. Hope you have a great day. Well, thank you very much, Anne-Marie. For anyone who's trying to figure out what the heck Anne-Marie's talking about, if you are looking to get your driver's license in Ontario, you need to get your G1. You need to study a book for your G1. You should continue reading that book to get your G2 and even to refresh your skills and abilities in terms of knowledge. You read the book. It's the official Ontario handbook, which I can't show you right now because of the way I've laid out the screen, but I have a playlist and I'm just recording the next chapter to be released soon. The deal is that I'm reading the handbook. Oh, by the way, this is the handbook, the G-Class handbook for your average vehicle. But we're going to be doing the motorcycle one right after, and the goal is to help you get through it because it's boring. It's like watching paint dry. It's for most of it. No, for some of it, it gets more interesting as we go. And why is it good for me to read it to you? Why is this going to help you? Well, some people have a hard time just sitting and staring at the book, and reading along with somebody can help. If you just follow along while I read, that may help you absorb the information. I know it helps me study, and I use audio for studying when I was going for sergeant, for instance. Then when it comes to the extras, see, I have commentary. I have things to add, not to every chapter, but to where it's necessary, where I can provide insight. I do, and that's something that might benefit you. And I'm also working on doing this in multiple languages. So the first one's English, and then I'm having it translated into about 30 different languages using some cool technology. Just saying. Let's move on. But thank you, Anne-Marie. I really appreciate you jumping in and saying that. We've got Akela Draconis who says, greetings and salutations. And why didn't it come up? There we go. Greetings and salutations. Sorry, I'm late. I was at the Vampires Blood Lab. Oh, the Blood Lab is the Vampires. Gotcha. Turf Canada, welcome. Good morning. We were just talking about you and how people might want to win $100,000 and they should download the app, which I have linked at trafficcop.ca, and a link in my link tree that says the Great Canadian Driving Games, which you are hosting, which runs till September 14th. So you can't waste time. You got to jump in now. It allows an app to track the movement of your vehicle, to rate your driving skills and abilities. It anonymously sends the information to Turf so they can study that information, but it gives you a chance to win $100,000. So back to what Turf actually asked instead of my just rambling about them. What was your most memorable and positive roadside educational moment? Oh, that is so tough. See, that suggests a memorable experience where I did something, didn't charge somebody because it was a memorable teaching experience. It was positive. People rarely see a ticket as positive, even though I think it really is. Every time I stopped someone, and I stopped thousands and thousands of people over my time as a police officer, Each one of those opportunities could have saved a life. Now, people say it's just the man making money for the man and the city and the government and the cash grab. No, that's baloney. What it actually is a way to change driver behavior. I can tell you that as a young person, when I was driving and I got a ticket, which happened, I think, twice. Once was a stop sign, once was speeding. Maybe it was 2 speedings. Maybe it was 3 times. But I was 16. In any case, those experiences, a couple of learning experiences, even the ticket was positive because it changed my driving. And now I'm the traffic guy, right? I'm the guy who talks about safe driving all the time. So that was positive for me as the recipient, even though I didn't think it was positive at the moment. But I've talked to so many people, and just because I pulled them over for an offense doesn't mean I laid a charge. Very often it was a warning because they took responsibility, they acknowledged the issues. And then there were the ones that weren't so, how you say, receptive to my discussion. And you know what? They got the full board. They got all that stuff. But I don't have a single one. One of my favorite memories of being out on patrol and doing enforcement was the in-between, when I stopped at a kid's lemonade stand and with my motorcycle, and we did some pictures and I bought some lemonade, and that was a positive experience. That directly wasn't a traffic stop for education purposes, but it was about meeting with the community, teaching people that, hey, the cops aren't meanies, they're real people, and we like lemonade. At least I do. Turf, thanks for that. Oh, I got a dad joke from Akela for later. Awesome. I was nervous about the lack of dad jokes. Last night we had a couple of dad jokes. I'll get a quote for later, a couple of quotes for later. Nicholas says, if I'm driving in the HOV lane with my 6-year-old, does he count as a person, or does only other people with driver's licenses count as other people in my car? Your kid is a people. If you have a fluffy kid, being a puppy, some people have fur babies. Those are not humans and do not qualify, but children of any age do qualify. I don't know why maybe somebody was confused about this once upon a time and started a rumor, but you don't have to have a driver's license or a job or be a certain age to qualify for HOV passenger status. Human beings in the vehicle, even if they goo goo gaga, and not suggesting your 6-year-old is a goo goo gaga. I'm sure they scream like a tyrant, like most 6-year-olds. Thanks for the question. Rizzy. It's Rizzy. It was a Rizzy. That's it. Whenever you ask, I got a Rizzy. Here's a Rizzy. All right. By the way, Rizzy's a stand-up comedian, amongst other things, and he listens at work. Just saying. Let's see here. Dino Mac, thanks for the follow. Oh. H wants to know if you can speed if you have to use the washroom really badly. No. No. There's no legal justification for speeding. Like, even if you're bleeding profusely, speeding wouldn't be a good option. In fact, as you would bleed, you would have less, like if it was a serious bleed out, you'd have less ability to maintain control of that vehicle, basically just increasing the amount of energy that would eventually lose control and hurt somebody. What you should be doing is using your available energy to tourniquet and call for an ambulance and get help. That's what you should do. Peeing, you can figure it out. Just stop at the next place that is a place to pee. Get off the highway. Do something. There's lots of alternatives other than putting other people at risk, because speeding does hurt people. It does end lives. I'm trying to not trigger any AI review of the live by saying things, but I can't stand saying unalived. I just did, but I'm just stating it in terms of I don't like saying it because it's silly. Let's see here. 4 kids in a Porsche says, I think HOV lanes should have lights that go red, indicating everyone has to get out of the lane when emergency vehicles need to get somewhere. What a great idea. Sadly, it's technology that could fail, because that and all of the emergency vehicles have lights of their own, and I think that's far better. One of the interesting things that made me think of is the fact that in Europe, if you watch the videos of emergency services going through, they part the seas. I mean, everybody on the left and right all move out of the way, and emergency vehicles just go through like it was meant to be. People are really good at being courteous and following the law. Now, also in Europe, they have heavy-handed and strictly enforced rules, and that's one of them. And in Ontario, I can tell you, as someone who has driven with lights and sirens on, people don't get out of your way. People just look at you. Yeah, they don't understand. So many people just don't get it. You want someone to pull over, they stop in the middle of the road. You want to pull someone over, they keep driving. Like we have some serious issues here with compliance to basic rules, just basic rules. Let's see here. Oh, and then Poor Kids in a Porsche says, what do you think of OPP rule of auto breathalyzing everybody they pull over? So very interesting. So for those who don't know, there's something called mandatory alcohol screening, and it's a way to tap the microphone. My apologies. It is a way to find more people who are breaking the law by way of driving whilst under the influence of drugs or alcohol, or having alcohol in their system when they're violating. So by doing it for everybody, I think it's actually a great system. It takes a few extra moments, but I keep hitting things. I'm talking with my hands, and you can't even see my hands because they're out of frame. But it is all about finding people who are violating and putting people at risk. Now, many professional drunks don't show the signs of impairment, but they are impaired. And when it comes down to it, they are putting everyone at risk, regardless of the fact that they're not obvious. So this helps catch the less than obvious violators, because we're an amateur alcoholic versus a professional alcoholic. They appear differently. I remember during training, or I don't remember if it was training or an advanced course on alcohol and driving. They showed a video where a guy is just stammering, can't stand up, fall down drunk, and he provides a breath sample after he parades for the staff or the sergeant in the parade hall, and he blows like 100 or 150, and then a woman comes through, straight as an arrow. You would never think anything of it. She was fine. She blew 400. 400 being very, very high, professional alcoholic. Anyway, it's interesting, and again, we make a lot of assumptions, but I think that pulling everybody over, or dealing with everyone across the board the same, is great. Toronto Police doesn't enforce an everyone must do, but a police officer can certainly take out a roadside screening device, and if they determine they're going to do it for everyone, they can. And if they want to do every fifth vehicle, they can. Whatever they do at the beginning of their shift, they make a note saying, on this shift, I plan to do the following. Every third car, I'm going to provide or demand a breath sample. And it's absolutely legitimate to do. It's explained by law. Now, previously, before mandatory alcohol screening, you would have to have suspicion that alcohol was in your blood. Now, how do you get that suspicion? You can have the odor of an alcoholic beverage. You can have an admission of consumption. All those things would be a legitimate reason to say, I have reason to believe, or reasonable suspicion, that you have alcohol in your blood, based on my observations or your statements. However, to use mandatory alcohol screening, you don't have suspicion. Thus, you're just doing it based on whatever you're doing, whatever your conduct, your plan for the day was. So it's different. Both are awesome, both work, and you can still use the suspicion. It's just whether you have suspicion or not determines which piece of law you're using to get the sample. But I absolutely support it. What do we have here? St. James says, by chance, would you happen to know about the CVR weight ratings, more specifically when you are required? You know what? I don't. I did at one point. I'm not a CVR guy. And I think I say that so much that I believe it. I don't know if it's 3,800 pounds, or I don't know. I'm sure that ChatGPT could help you with that. I just don't know what it is offhand, and I don't want to give you incorrect information. It probably says it on your driver's license on the back of it, which I don't have my wallet with me. It is upstairs because I am in the basement. Let's see here. If Jeff wants to know, if you go over 1 kilometer an hour, does the community speed camera take a picture? Generally, no. I'm going to say no for the 1 kilometer. There is a threshold. There is a number of kilometers that you can go over before it'll take a picture. And I think it's a percentage. I would say that 8 to 10% over the speed limit would be the barrier. And then it would start taking pictures and charging you, which I think, what an idiot, not you. Ian comes in every day and says, what a waste of taxpayer money. But he's not here long enough, or doesn't read. Former police officer. Former. I'm not a police officer. This is not paid by the government. This is not taxpayers' money. Ian just doesn't pay attention or read. I think Ian has a problem. And I like making fun of Ian because he's fun to make fun of. Is that King Julian as your icon? I can't even see the icon. It just looks like King Julian. Anyway, hopefully that helps you, Jeff. And also, I should let you know that every jurisdiction can set their own threshold. Yeah. I don't have the heart to actually ban Ian, because every time he comes in, he says something stupid and I get to respond to it, and I kind of think it's funny. And I don't think he sticks around to actually hear the response, which is why he continues to the same thing. But I tried a few times to explain it to him. But oh well. Honda Mig says we need tougher laws on DUI. I think we do. I'm not a fan of this concept of pleading it down to careless driving, which we're seeing a lot in the courts. It's pretty gross. Now, granted, a DUI case can be more complicated, and the average person spends about $30,000 defending it. But we need to have people who lose their licenses, like these suspensions. They're violating the rules before they even leave the building. Like they're not doing the right thing. They are not. Not. Okay. Oh, interesting question from Lewis or Louis. What color cars draw more attention to police? I don't think there's a color that works more appropriately. I'm looking way off in the distance, and I'm looking for movement, not color. I'm not shopping for my favorite car. I am absolutely focused on the behavior, and if it's a red car, blue car, green car, it doesn't matter. Although people often say it's red cars, I don't think that's accurate. It's never been a thing for me. I've never shopped for color. Queen says they need more intersection cameras that record continuously for safety all main intersections. Interesting. Most of these cameras that are installed don't actually record; they're live monitored, and they're monitored not for enforcement purposes, but for response to, oh, there was a collision in this intersection, oh, there's a reason it's backing up. That's what they're looking for. They might have the ability on demand to record if there's an incident for whatever reason, but my understanding is they're not recorded at all unless it's some manual kind of override for a purpose. And even then, I don't think they utilize that. Thanks, Jeff, for speaking out. Yes, I do this because I love it. I love it. I appreciate and want to make the world a better place. It's all about helping people, and that's why I became a police officer, was to help people. And even though I'm no longer a police officer, my goal is still to help people. I've actually launched a not-for-profit organization, which is to do this and more. We're doing a lot more than just me coming online. The idea is to change the way police communicate with the public, in specifically in traffic safety, but in all aspects. We want to help. So the organization is called Better Traffic. BetterTraffic.ca is the website, and that's the new mission, is to do that. So if you know companies that want to promote, want to support, they should go check it out, and then they can help us pay the bills, because it is expensive to do stuff like this. It's not just turning on a camera and going. I think I've spent about $10,000 in equipment since leaving the police service to replicate my studio equipment. Just saying. Nellie's Firehouse Game says, or lithium battery fires pollute the air and are very toxic. Absolutely. There's new challenges with electric vehicles. So they're green, but they're not green when they are on fire. Jeff, thanks for the follow. Simple Tulip, thanks for the follow. Is it Tulip? I don't know how to pronounce your username. Queen says HOV lanes are dumb. Traffic stopped, yet HOV going doesn't help environment with stopped cars. They're not dumb, because it does promote people to do the right thing. They're abused, but I actually think they're good. What color? We talked about this. Nicole says, hi, Sean. Me and my dad love your show. I'm here, and my dad listens in on the radio. Thanks for all you do. Nicole, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And I'm glad that you're finding value. So that's fantastic. Sadly, I'm only on the radio a couple of times a month, when I join the Jerry Agar show, or I'm on AM 640, or so. I'm curious, where do you hear me on the radio, or where does Dad hear me on the radio? That said, you can always get me here, and you can also download the podcast. So I download every episode, although yesterday's audio was messed up for some reason. I download every episode, and then I post it to your favorite podcast app by way of using Spotify. So if you're a Spotify person, you can get it there. If you're an Apple Podcast person there, you can go to even, iHeartRadio app. You can get me there. And it's every episode. So this one will be there, talking about you. And you can then synchronize it to your app, and you can listen to it while you drive, while not burning your data or breaking the law. Because some people try and listen to me while they're driving, and their iPhone is on, or their phone is on with the live stream going, which is kind of dangerous and illegal if you can see it, or if you're touching it. Right? Just saying. Yeah, so Honda Mig's back on that DUI thing. A lot of people doing this lesser offense thing in Alberta. They have a thing where they don't even arrest you. They just give you a ticket, essentially. I don't agree with that. I think hard time, manual labor, something to really drive it home. 4 kids in a Porsche. Appreciate your response. Mandatory screening seems like an end justifies the means approach. Should we have other mandatory checks for other crimes? Well, I will tell you this, although controversial. Do you remember street checks or carding? Lots of people were upset with that. It was really offensive, but it solved murders and reduced crimes. And now we're not allowed to do it. So people carry guns and other weapons and drugs, and they don't get caught because police can't just stop them randomly and talk to them. Stop and frisk in New York City was very effective at stopping crime. Then they changed the laws and said you can't do it. And then crime went up. Ooh. So there are things that are intrusive that are very good for the community and to reduce crime that aren't, it's not a feel good thing. It's a huggy kissy, milk and cookies kind of world now where everyone's woke and everyone wants to make sure that everyone's happy and their feelings aren't hurt. But the problem is that the bad people take advantage of the good that you're trying to do by making everybody feel good, and facts have no feelings. It's not about being happy. It's about being safe, and that means you have to give up some of it. Like if you look at the whole, not just mandatory alcohol screening, but ride programs or any kind of alcohol where police can make demands. Well, that's an invasion of your rights, right? But the courts have determined that it's an acceptable one. Now, there was an assumption or allegations that the carding stuff was against certain communities. Okay, but the number one person who was stopped and frisked or carded was a white guy. It wasn't about race necessarily. It may have been location, and anyway, you can go way down the rabbit hole. I think that those kind of practices were effective for policing, even though they made people feel unhappy. Were we safer when we had it? Probably. Are we safer now? No. Is it directly related? Maybe. Bigger brains can tell you whether it was or not. Honda Miggs says, I saw someone hit the driver's side head on. What is this? I saw someone hit the driver's side head on with the old streetcars and it bounced off and flew 58 feet past it. She was charged with illegal lane change. Went to court. I went to court as a witness. She was drunk as hell. I have seen some wild things. One of my favorite events was an arrest I made and got a conviction of, where a guy drove his car down the underground on the railway track. So on the what's it called, Queens Quay. If you go, it's a very confusing intersection, which is great for catching drunks. It's almost like it was designed to catch drunk people, and they just drive down, and then suddenly the road goes down, and you're going underground parking, but it's not underground parking. It is going into the train station, and eventually the road disappears, and it beaches their car on rails. It's awesome. So the young man who was driving, who was a little bit drunk, he got arrested when I got there. Yeah. Okay. What do we got here? 52 minutes in, so very shortly we'll have to start this whole dad joke business. Brandon says, it was 24 years ago today I started my journey as a chef. Sean, I posted one of my recipes to the group. Awesome. I'm going to look it up. I want to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to read it. And I'm also going to post the song there, the melon song. It's a great song. It's all about Brandon's cooking and a joke about melons combined to make a musical masterpiece. If you want to jump in and see what this recipe is, you can join the Telegram group, telegram.trafficcop.ca. Not only do I have all my social media links at trafficcop.ca, but if you add the prefix of telegram dot, you can go into the Telegram group and chat with us. Brandon also says, I think we should evaluate and end catch and release for repeat offenders. 100%. Jail, not bail. Yeah. I'm using a political person's statement, but it's so true. I can't imagine why we think that letting people out again and again, like the repeat offender volume is so high. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. What is this? Oh, Queen is saying that HOV lanes are stopping traffic. They're not. It's not stopping traffic. It's just allowing people to get there faster if they're utilizing more people in the vehicle. And it is dangerous when there's a high speed differential. Absolutely. And if people violate the law by crossing those lines, which is illegal, it is dangerous. So there are elements of it there that are not good. But it is overall a good concept. And I think it's just about people generally being bad that makes it bad. It's the people making it bad, not the concept. Anyway, moving on. What can I legally do about my headlights? I keep getting beams flashed at me despite the fact that highs are off. Make sure that they're directed properly. You can actually adjust them and make sure, that well, it is, make sure that they're directed properly is the biggest thing. And then if people high beam you, they have beam you. The big thing is that many of the new systems have LEDs that are just super bright, and people think they're wrong, and they're not. Okay. HV, yeah, very very good point, Jeff. HOV or not, traffic will always happen. Yeah. What we need to do is stagger start times or change the way people go to work. I don't even go on the highway. I don't even go to work anymore. I come to my basement to hang out. I don't want to be on the road anymore because I'm tired of driving. I love driving. I've loved driving since I was 16, but I don't want to sit in traffic. And everywhere you go in Toronto is an hour away from Toronto. It's ridiculous. Let's see here. Powd says, I agree speeding is wrong and kills, but traveling on the 401 at 1-800, traveling on the 401 at 100 or 110, they stopped. Where's the rest of your, where is it? I think they were trying to say that it seems slow to go. Well, listen, it seems slow to go 30 in a zone that used to be 40. It seems slow to go 60 when there's nobody on the road, but it's still the right thing to do. There's no justification for going faster if that's what you're talking about. Slat has been jumping in. How fast should I drive if my wife's pregnant and in labor? Slat, you should have figured it out that she was pregnant and in labor and paid attention, and then you call an ambulance if you need to go fast because they have the lights, skills, and abilities to do it. You should drive safely and so slowly. And if you don't think you're going to make it there, you didn't leave early enough, and stuff happens. But then you call the ambulance and say, I'm going to start driving legally, lawfully, and safely because you want the baby and the mom to get to the hospital properly. Because what happens is if you speed and you lose control or cause a collision, no one's going there, and then you're putting your baby at risk. So you drive legally and safely, as Jeff said, because that is the absolute proper advice. We have something called guaranteed arrival as police officers. You have to drive as fast as you can safely without putting anyone else at risk. Because if you don't get there, you don't help anybody else as a police officer. Well, if you don't get there, you don't get the help that your friend, if your friend or spouse or pregnant person in the car needs. The baby needs to be born. Now, my friends delivered babies roadside. Police officers, paramedics have delivered babies roadside. There's no reason to put anyone at risk. And now I'm going to move on. Boom, boom, boom. What is Louis saying? Oh, Louis says, my rear tints are privacy, which is legal, but cops sometimes stop me for that reason. Why is that? Maybe they don't realize that the rear windows are totally lawful. They don't need a reason to stop you. They can stop you just to find out if you're licensed, if you're sober, if you're insured. But if they're stopping you for that, or if they look in from a certain angle and it looks like you have tinted windows, but that's because they're looking into the back and it's dark. But if they're looking straight into the window, they can see properly. And maybe they were just wrong. Yeah. Queen says, back windows, no restriction. How weird, only for front windows. Yes, you're correct, Queen. 2 says, so guilty until proven innocent. But 2, I don't know what you're talking about. What exactly are you specifically referring to? Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, even worse when the fire hits wider and longer, trying to weave in and out of traffic. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Okay. And Louis says they're probably just bored or trying to find another reason to stop you. But they don't need a reason. You can stop anybody for license ownership or license insurance, alcohol, and safety. So they don't have to manufacture one. I would just assume it was a perception thing. James Crate says, I missed the answer to the guy asking about driving fast for the bathroom. Yeah, not legal. He didn't miss anything. Mind you, I just might be a little bit farther behind than I thought. Stephen Bell, good morning. Stephen Bell's coming in from the magical London, Ontario, where I have to go visit soon because I need to go have a steak. Because Mr. Steak is in London, Ontario, and he makes steak. Okay, let me look over here. Oh, guilty until proven innocent is likely referring to the mandatory breathalyzer. That's from 4 kids and a Porsche. By the way, which Porsche do you have that you can pack 4 kids into? A friend of mine just picked up the electric 4-door after he traded in his Pan America. I think it's called, not a Pan America. Pan America is the Harley Davidson that my other friend rides. Panamera? He's traded his Panamera in for this even smaller but electric zippy zip. Okay. He does not. He has 3 kids, and they don't all go in the car at the same time, I don't think. Let's see here. Astro Fidget Feline says people used to think insurance company charged more for red cars. I work in insurance. Not true. I appreciate that, and I'd love to talk more about insurance. Let me know if you want to be my go-to person. I've got a couple of people. I'm looking for people to ask questions to about insurance. So if that could be you, if you might want to be a podcast guest, let me know because I want to talk to somebody about insurance. If you know anybody who would like to be on the podcast, who's a professional in the industry, whether it be traffic safety, traffic law, if they are people who know stuff and things about insurance, I'm looking for podcast guests. Just saying. Queen says even suspended drivers, they will drive if they have the means. Keep their car. Yes, suspended drivers. This is where I think crushing cars or impounding cars for long periods of time is good. Two says, so can you explain why we pay 50% more than Alberta in Ontario with clean records? I imagine it's because we have far more people and far higher rates of collision than in the other jurisdictions. It's not just about making money, although money is part of their game. It is about the statistics. They have people who analyze stuff. They are number crunchers. They are actuaries, and they look at tables and they calculate your risk. And not everybody in Ontario pays more than anywhere else. Like it depends on where you're at. I spoke to someone this week who pays $700 a month, who's 50 years old and has been driving all his life, but he's only been in Canada for 5 years. Whereas I don't pay anywhere near that, and I had 3 vehicles at one point. Like it depends on the individual. Okay. Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, I'd like to see you do a live with a firefighter to gain their view on things. I'd love to do that. And actually, a friend of mine's a deputy chief in Toronto, and maybe I'll call him up and see what's going on, see what Larry's up to. Because he was on my podcast when I was with the Toronto Police, and I'm sure he would still join me now. Let's see here. Astro Fidget Feline says, I'm just about to get cross-licensed in Alberta soon. I'll be able to answer then. That's good. Insurance is a pool of money. Most people, or more people, more claims, more money. Unfo. Okay, moving on. 1 hour, 1 minute. I gotta wrap this up because I got places to go today. What's the coolest car you've ever had to give a ticket to? Coolest car? I don't know. I've pulled over many a cool car, but what's the coolest one? I don't know. On the Mig says they're actually looking into getting their license and insurance. Tired of construction. Right on. That's an interesting change. But change is good. Change is as good as a break, they say. We got lots of dad jokes from Rizzy today. I might have too many dad jokes. Okay, no more dad jokes. I think I've got 6 or 7 of them. I'm going to try and get through the rest of these jokes, these questions, and then we're going to move on to dad jokes and wrap up the show. With the live. I call it the show because it's a show. It's a show. It's so frequent it's a show. How do you feel about the RCMP's use of Wi-Fi hacking? Not familiar with it. Staying home is the dream. Absolutely. Could you give an example of when an officer could call someone's insurance provider? They can call every day, all day long. If I pull you, in fact, I'll give you a perfect example of when I used to call the provider. I pull you over, you give me an insurance card. How do I know that insurance is valid? That's a slip that says it's valid, but you could have canceled it the day after you got the piece of paper in the mail. And that is a big scam. People go get an insurance policy that pays monthly, then they don't pay after the first month. And then they keep the card and keep showing it. They're not insured, but they show proof of insurance. And unless an officer calls and investigates, they don't know whether they're insured because there's no way of verifying that it's actually active. So I used to take every single person that I stopped and charged, and I would then call the insurance company. And you know what you have? 3 years. That's the length of time that a police officer has to lay a charge of drive no insurance. So I would use my time when I was waiting at court for other things, and I'd call insurance companies one after the other. Every person I stopped. And when I found someone who didn't have insurance, I went back and charged them, and then went and served them their the 104, part 3, and summons them to court. And the insurance companies love coming to that. So that would be an absolute perfect example of why you'd call. I've also called roadside when I'm with somebody because someone provides me a slip. And sometimes if it's during business hours, I'll just call when I used to be on the road. I would call right then and there. And then I'd find out little things like, oh, that's his second car that's currently in storage mode. He doesn't have insurance to drive on the road. He hasn't put that insurance policy in. But the guy told me he called them today. And here's the funny thing about insurance companies: they record all phone calls, and they're only too happy to come in and testify against you. Oh, okay. Okay. So Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, fire trucks trying to get through traffic. Let me show you something. Gwyn Johnston says, hello, ex-copper. Gwyn from Rock Vegas. What's going on? London, Ontario. Avoid all of Wellington Road. Yes, Nancy Young. She works for Pace? Nancy Young. I don't know who Nancy Young is. We're talking. Okay, I'm also a firefighter and pump operator, so I drive the fire truck. I got a video for you. Stay tuned. Michael Bassani says, I love this guy. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. Okay, one sec. I'm scrolling through because I want to show you this video. So Gwyn says, hi, Sean. Question: why does the MTO not suspend or revoke license plates from suspended drivers? I don't know. I think there's so many things they can be doing more, but changes like that are tough. Michael says, I miss seeing him on the news. I used to be on the news all the time, and you're right. I haven't done that. I got to reach out. I'm on the radio all the time still, but I'm rarely on the news. They did call. They missed the memo that I left the police service in August, and my old boss had to go in and be on the news or field the calls asking for me to go, because I used to go to Global all the time. I should reach out to them and see how they're doing. Maybe they want me to come into the studio. And Michael says, one of the best cops we had. Thank you very much. Scoffer says, insurance flag on plate auto readers. Insurance flag on plate auto readers. There's a thing where it's 15 days. It's not current. It's 15 days old information. It'll say whether it is confirmed or unconfirmed. That does not mean necessarily that it is insured on the day that you pulled it over, nor does it provide the insurance provider's information. So it's not enough for an investigation. It's just a starting point. Quinn says, interesting. I had many calls like yours when I was in the industry. Right on. I think there should be laws against intentionally antagonizing police like I see too often. Police show much more restraint than I could. Yeah, that's from 4 Kids in a Porsche. 100%. People shouldn't be allowed to waste the time, but there's a bunch of things that came into play in Florida. I think it's against the law now to videotape a police officer. If they're asked to leave, they can be arrested. Lodge says, thanks for the answer. I really appreciate your insight. Okay, I appreciate all of you, but like I gotta show you this video that Firehouse is going to lose their mind about. Check this out. Try that again. Okay, watch the flashing lights. That's a fire truck coming. Watch the pickup truck in front of it. Oh yeah, let's cut off a fire truck and see what happens. That's so close. That's like, I don't know what happened behind. It says very, very near miss, but that is something that made me gasp the first 5 times I watched it. Like, look at it. This is nuts. That was a tow truck. Of course it was a tow truck that almost caused a collision and didn't check there. I didn't even notice it was a tow truck until just a second. That's just nuts. What do you think? What do you think? What would you do in that situation? Aside from, you should probably be paying attention and not have the stereo. Because one of 2 things. They just didn't look, or they didn't hear, or there's some combination thereof. But holy moly. That is terrifying. And I've been in those situations. This is why speed differential, I personally think that fire truck's going way too fast. So while I appreciate that that the tow truck was wrong, that fire truck was going too fast for my liking. And it looks like it was crappy weather. So since we're on it, I will do, Lodge says that fire truck driver is a boss. Very, very lucky. And Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, is lucky that he didn't roll that truck. That was, yeah, super, super wild. Since we're here, I'll show you the other videos I queued up. Would you buy a car that does this? Yeah. I don't know. Just get out, leave your car in the middle of the parking lot. This is very Tesla-ish. But now the car is in automatic mode. I don't feel comfortable with this. And so the original question I was asked when I was tagged in this was, who pays for the claim? Who's at fault if that vehicle causes an issue, like if it crashes, it hurts somebody? Probably the owner, because unless that's proper level 3 or 4, in this case 4 because it's autonomous, unoccupied, the insurance company or the automaker isn't in play. Like, it is in play in level 3 and 4, but not in level 2. And most of this is operating, like if you look at Teslas today that can do this, the remote driving, that's level 2. You're on the hook. You're fully responsible for everything that vehicle does. And I don't know. My iPhone sometimes it goes haywire and bad things happen. So I don't feel comfortable myself, but it's interesting to talk about. Simple Tulip says, I have assisted parking on my SUV and I am afraid of trying it. Assisted I've used, but you're in the car. Like my dad's got a Lincoln. You put it in park and it spins the steering wheel. You've got to apply the gas and brake. You're still in control. But just getting out of the car and walking away, not even looking at it, no, I'm not ready for that. In fact, I was driving Mustang Nut 50. Oh, it took me 3 tries. Says that's just plain lazy. It's different. Abby says, no, that seems like a break-in waiting to happen. Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, as a fire truck driver, I still have to pay attention to all traffic and be prepared for anything. 100%. No Munoz says, hello. Why the police do something to Uber's drivers because they like to stop anywhere, and why don't they? Or like, are you suggesting there should be more enforcement? I'll play one more video and then we got to call it. This is something that happened apparently in Toronto. My face is on top of the. Let me remove this. Can I reorient this somehow? Maybe not. Maybe I can. No. It won't let me. Well, that was useless. I was going to try and move the other thing, but essentially what's happening is that driver just hammers down and pushes a guy right through the intersection. What garbage? And what's going on there? Like this comes to mind. The first thing I thought of was, wrong button. Does he just have to pee? Like what are they using to justify that action? Anyway, I hope they identify the vehicle and its driver, and they get arrested because that's no good. Tiki says, is Huawei making cars? In China, they are. That was a video in China. Gwyn Johnson says, it would be the owner. All vehicle must be insured. The owner is liable for his or her vehicle. Yes, but in level 4, it's my understanding that the supervision of the vehicle in that mode is taken on by a special policy of the manufacturer, and that's why there are no level 3 and level 4 cars in Ontario outside of the pilot projects that are currently in effect. And when the pilot project is running, even if you're in the car, you're not driving. The manufacturer is controlling the vehicle. They have especially apparently proper. I jumped away. In the States, where level 3 and 4 are operating, I believe it's like Mercedes covers you when something happens because they're the ones in operation, and those are being supervised by a major center. And then when you talk about level 4 and 3 products that are here in testing, those are 100% at fault in any collision that they're involved in. Interesting, isn't it? Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, unless the driver of the pickup truck was having a medical emergency, like a diabetic emergency. Yes, if it was a medical emergency, totally different situation. Very, very good point you bring up. Can you do that to help someone get off the road if both parties agree? Oh, can you push someone in a consensual situation to get them out of the way? Yeah, there's nothing saying you can't do that. Not that I'm aware of anyway. Like you could tow, makes total sense. However, still very dangerous. Okay, dad jokes, now I gotta fly. Let me hit the button. What do I have here? So Kayla says, get my button ready. Dad joke. After my checkup, the doctor walked out of the what happened? After my checkup, the doctor walked out as the nurse was walking in. The nurse then asked a question that no patient wants to hear. Who is that? It's not a funny dad joke. I get it. Who is that? The nurse asks who the doctor was. So he wasn't a doctor and he was just touching you. But it wasn't funny. It just wasn't. Okay, Star Wars dad joke. What did the binary load lifter say to the new droid at work? This job has ups and downs. That's not bad. There have been better, but that's not bad. A binary load lifter. Forklift. A robot forklift, I'm guessing. Dad joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Control freak. Okay, now you say control freak who? It's just not. It's not. Sorry, it didn't hit. I'll leave the quotes for a second. I'll come back. Where did the sergeant go when he got lost in a minefield? Everywhere. That's dark. That's dark. Okay. Dad joke. What's red and bad for your teeth. This is also, what is with the dark jokes? A brick being thrown at you. I can't. That hits different. It's just it hits wrong. It's not funny, but I get it. Another Rizzy dad joke. I used to have a lot of unemployment jokes. Sadly, none of them work. That's pretty good. I like that one. Okay. Dad joke from Rizzy. My wife asked me to pass her lipstick. I accidentally passed her a glue stick. She's still not talking to me. That's not bad. My wife would not approve, but it's not bad. Rizzy says, dad joke. I made a website for orphans. It doesn't have a homepage. He's picking up bad stuff. What's the best way to teach your kids about taxes? Eat 30% of their ice cream. My button was doing weird button things. All right, I see that Nellie's may have thrown up a couple here. I was trying to break up with my girlfriend who is an optometrist. I told her I couldn't see her. She moved closer and said, how about now? That's good. I'm going to tell it to my optometrist. All right. Listen, it is a magical day in the neighborhood, and I thank you for spending time with me. I will be back tomorrow. No, I won't. It's Saturday. I'll be back Monday, 10 a.m. But do me a favor. If you don't already follow me everywhere, go to YouTube and find my voiceover cop account, or go to trafficcop.ca, find the YouTube link, go there. And if you want to win 100 grand, go load the app. Go put the app that I have linked to on the page for the Great Canadian Driving Games. You might win. And the real question is, will you get a higher score than me? That is the question. And we're going to be doing updates as we go all the way through to September 14th when they end the game and we find out if I won 100 grand or if you won 100 grand. What would you do with 100 grand? Want to know when the best time to go live is? When are you most available? Is 10 o'clock the best time? Because that's where I've been doing for years. But maybe later is better. Maybe earlier is better. I want to know. You let me know. Here's the last two things. It's quotes from Michaela. Dignity does not consist of possessing honors, but the consciousness that we deserve them. Aristotle. Dignity does not consist of possessing honors, but the consciousness that we deserve them. Okay. Kayla Dracona says another one. The most courageous act is still to think of yourself aloud. The most courageous act is still to think for yourself aloud. Why am I not Coco Chanel? The most courageous act is still to think for yourself aloud. Why am I not picking up what this quote is what I'm not picking up what they're putting down here. Someone translate that. What is Coco Chanel? Think for yourself? But the aloud is what's throwing me off. The most courageous act is to think for yourself. I get it. The wording is throwing me off. Anyway, I'm gonna stop complaining about it. And last thing, Stephen Bell says, since you've retired, have you been visiting the police department? Just wondering. I have. I've gone back. We've gone for a bite to eat. We've gone for coffee. We visited. Absolutely, I've been back. I haven't spent nearly as much time as I thought I would there. I've gone back to help out. I went and did a week and a bit of car show stuff. I was helping them out. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Have a wonderful weekend. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, or Aaron gets really upset. And we'll see you Monday, 10 a.m. until we change the time to some other time. Yeah. Hope it doesn't snow anymore today.